Hello, today we're going to be talking about paper 1 for Humanities 115, and we write 3 papers in this particular class, and they all need to be at least 3 pages. They all need to have certain elements to them, and we're going to do all of them in 3 parts, so they have some things in common. But paper 1 tends to be kind of interesting. It's early in the semester. You don't know me very well yet. You haven't done a whole lot for me yet, so you don't quite know what I want. I'm going to walk through this assignment sheet, and then I'm going to tell you some of the apparatus that we have as well. For all the papers, you have an assignment sheet. There's this lecture video thing. And then there are some samples, student samples from students in the past. They may have different topics than you do, different articles than you do, but the structure, the same kind of idea, how you play this out, it's all there, okay? So have a look at those. Paper 1, you need to print this out or have it up on your screen, so pause, go do that. Paper 1 is I give you choices among some rather emotionally charged arguments, and your job is to cut through your own emotions and your own bias and evaluate the articles as they stand. Now, this is a lot harder than it sounds, okay, so I know that. I'm giving you this exercise to show me how well you can use critical thinking basically in your real world. And by real world, I mean academics, right? That's what we're doing right now, so that's real. What you're going to do is you're going to write a 3-page evaluation of your response to the sides of an argument. In the arguments that I have chosen for you, a couple of them have diametrically opposed views, okay? So it's I'm for this, I'm against this, okay? Some of them, though, they're just 2 different ways of looking at this particular issue. And they're not necessarily opposed to each other, but you have to tell me which one does the better job with their evidence, with the experts they use, with the support they give their argument, okay? Tone, how they deal with counter arguments, all these things that the experts are supposed to do well, okay? So it's not about whether or not you agree with their stance as much as it is you agree that they've done a good job with it, okay? Sometimes the article that you like the most doesn't win, okay? And you're going to have to work on understanding and writing about what do you do with something when you don't agree with it, but they did a really good job, okay? In this case, we're doing topics on healthcare, on COVID-19, and on minimum wage. And these are hot button topics. They're not extreme hot button topics, say like abortion or capital punishment or gun control. I have found with students those are ridiculously hard to get past your own personal bias. Not that it's not worth doing, but I don't want to throw you to the wolves quite this early on in the semester. So the particular things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to read these arguments really well, okay? In Chapter 3, we talk a bit about longer arguments and how you really have to understand the argument before you can kind of break it apart and see if it actually works, okay? That's what I want you to do here. I want you to break it apart and see if it actually works. So there are 3 topics. Each topic has 2 articles. Okay, so choose your topic and then go into that particular folder and get your articles. Okay, those are the only 2 articles I want you to use for this paper. Hear that? These are the only 2 articles I want you to use for this paper. Now, if you have to look something up, if there's a word you don't understand, or there's a study or a graph or something, then you have to look some things up, that's one thing. I do not want you to turn this into a research paper. Not a research paper. Okay? It's also not an opinion piece. Those are the 2 ways that people get in trouble all the time with this particular assignment. So your job is to evaluate both articles based on their use of evidence and experts and tone and all that kind of stuff. Okay? And so I have a writing grading rubric under the writing helps section, which is, so I can do this, it's under, on Blackboard, it's under the, click on the side that is course information, okay, and then go down to the bottom to writing helps, and then in there, there's a writing rubric. There's also a link to the Purdue OWL online writing lab that is the best writing lab out there. And if you have trouble or you have questions about grammar and syntax, of course they have stuff there. But they also have all the stuff on various types, including MLA and APA formatting and citations. So if you're worried about that kind of stuff, still, that's where you go. So your successful analysis, and this is on the assignment page, will have an introduction that sets up your analysis. Identify the articles and the authors and your overall assessment. Remember, this is not a murder mystery, okay? This is a formal essay. And so the very first thing I should know is which 2 articles you chose, why you chose them, and which one won. All in that first paragraph. Now you're going to go through and tell me why these things work and how it works and why you chose it and all that, but that's where it goes. Okay, that's your thesis. We're also going to have summaries of the articles. That's going to be your first piece, okay? Your first step. I want you to read these articles thoroughly and then write me a good paragraph summary of each, okay? Whichever one you chose, doesn't matter. I want you to summarize both articles, and those summaries are going to go into your paper already. So you're already going to have a good chunk of the 3 pages with those 2 summaries. And then a section that examines the reasons you believe your site is correct. Okay, so your article, this article that you chose, does the argument better, and here's why. Okay. And then a section about why the other one is wrong or doesn't do as good a job. Okay, same idea. And then a section that explains why you've chosen that side. Now, your winning article and your side don't have to be the same. Okay, remember, we can like something a lot and agree with it and understand that, oh, but the other side writes a better article in this case. Okay. You need a conclusion that sums up the gist of the paper and leaves the reader with a final thought. You also should choose this kind of thing. Okay. Make sure that you're using good transitions between your sections. Under my writing helps, there is a section, there is some documents on transitioning. Make sure that you have a clear sense of your organization. Don't jump around. Okay, don't say things 3 times. Do the summary, do your assessment, move on. Okay, and close attention to conventions and formatting. Okay, if you're going to choose MLA, you need a works cited page. Each of these articles have both forms of citation at the end. All you got to do is copy and paste. Okay. The name block for MLA, the title page for APA, references page for that, and then a text relatively free from surface errors. I put this little phrase, this little sentence on just about everybody's paper I ever read. Read your work out loud to catch the small stuff. I've been a writing teacher for 25 years. I will tell you that is the best way to edit your own papers. Now, you say, I write like I talk. Well, no, you don't. You want to write like you talk. And some people can get away with that. Most of us cannot. I cannot. So I have too many ums. But the other part is we tend to talk and think what we call recursively. Okay, so we go forward a little bit and then we remember something, we go back, and we go forward a little bit and we remember something, we go back. Don't do that to your reader. Okay? Barf it all on paper and then fix it up. Okay, that's part of your work as a student, part of your work as a writer. It will continue to be part of your work in the working world for the rest of your life. Making things so that other people can understand your process or understand how you got to the point or why you want that much money or how you're going to do this project. You need to give people a way that they can give people information in a way that they can assimilate it. Okay, and that's kind of what you're doing for these articles. Did they do a good job with that? Okay, did they not? I think all of the articles are well written, and they belong. We need to read them all. Some of them do a much better job than others. Some do a slightly better job than others. Some of them, I think, this one does this better, this one does that better. But it's up to you to communicate that, okay, to the best of your ability. This is edited English. It should not look or sound like you talking to your friends or texting or anything like that. So walk through your information, make sure that you get things together. And remember that JCC has the Academic Skills Center, and they have the Jaguar Writing Lab over in the library, in the LRC, and they're more than happy to sit down with you and walk through a paper, or you can post it for them, and in 48 hours they'll give it back to you. So be careful if you're going to use that particular service that you have time after your 48 hours that you can actually revise your paper. They're not fixing it for you. Okay, they're giving you suggestions. So do all you can, ask questions, my email, and see how well we do on this. Okay, so paper 1, 3 parts, summaries, a rough draft, which means get it as complete as you possibly can by the particular date. Make a good stab at putting together your works cited page or your references page. And then the final draft is take all those comments and such and whatever else you can put together and put it into a polished, revised final draft that's at least 3 pages. It means get at least a line on the 4th page. That is about 1,000 words or more. I give lower limits, not upper limits. Okay. Now, I don't want a 10-page paper on this. Okay, you can do what I want you to do in 3 pages. Some of us, myself included, would probably take 4 or 5 because we like to talk and we have lots to say. That's okay. Just make sure everything you say, put your point across. And then make sure that you have a works cited page, you have in-text citations, anytime you use exact wording, and you can kind of fudge a little bit. You don't need to cite the article for your summary unless you're using a direct quote, okay? Because we know what you're doing. It's okay. But the final draft is 10% of your grade, okay? So if you really flub it, you can't fail the class because your paper's not good. But it is worth 10%, so give it, kind of the point that's due, okay? If you have questions, again, email me. You know where to find me. Have a great day.